12.4, Day 2, Example 1b. So again, we're learning the shortcut on how to do the derivative using the product rule. Here is that formula again, just like we had in example 1a. For 2b, this time we have j of x in front. Again, this letter, that's just the function name. Might be a different variable here too, but those two will change as you go through. If this were like j of t, then you would just have the variable t over here on the right side. If you like x's as you go through and do this for any of those problems in the book, if they put a different variable in here, go ahead and change it to an x if you want. Okay, when you go through and you calculate j of x, j prime of x, the derivative, what we want to do is take a look and recognize that we have two things being multiplied together here. We have one set of parentheses here in the product rule, that is f of x, and that is being multiplied by another set of parentheses here, and that is g of x. That's the second thing. So for j of x here, we have these two sets of parentheses. That's how they're going to be set up in the book. Then from there, what I would do on each problem is I would list out the four things that we need to do the derivative. First, I need f of x, the original function, which is x to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 4. And then I am going to need f prime, the derivative, when I go through and use this formula. So I'm going to write down the derivative of function f, and I'm going to use that with that 12.4 day 1 shortcut, the power rule. The exponent I bring to the front, so this is going to be a 4, and then x to your real number power you reduce by 1. So bring the 4 to the front and then reduce that by 1. So that's 4x to the cube, 4x cubed. Then for our second term, minus 2x cubed, we're going to take that exponent of 3, multiply by that minus 2 in front. It's going to give me a negative 6, and then reduce the power by 1. So it'll be an x squared. And if you're doing the derivative of a constant, it is 0. We're also going to need g of x to do this problem, to use the formula. G of x is here, and that's the original second set of parentheses. So 5x squared plus 4x minus 6. And then we're also going to need to have the derivative. So using our power rule shortcut from day 1, 2 times 5 is 10, so this will be a 10x to the first. When you take the derivative of a term that is just an x, the answer will just be the coefficient in front, and the derivative of a constant is 0. So now we have f and its derivative, we have function g and its derivative. That's what we need in order for us to go through and do this problem. So again, when you calculate j prime of x, the original was j of x, so we're going to be calculating j prime of x. When you calculate j prime of x, we're going to be using that shortcut that's up there to the top. You will need to have that memorized, but if you remember what I did in the last video, there's just a pattern there that we can use. Let me copy this down first. So there's the formula again, and if you just take a look at writing these down each time in this order, the first set of parentheses and its derivative, the second set of parentheses and its derivative, then these first two values that we're going to multiply together, those are the two on the inside. That's f prime and g. So I can plug those in there, and then after the addition symbol we have these two, and if we write it down the same way each time, these will always be the outside. So that's what we have for a pattern. So you can either memorize it just like they have it in the book, just like I have it written up here. You can memorize that product rule that way, or you can memorize the pattern that they form. I would recommend memorizing that pattern. It's a little less work, and when we do the day 3 assignment, we're going to be writing these down and also doing inside out on those problems. So we'll be using that again. Let me write down what we end up with for j prime of x then. So taking a look at what we have up here at the top with our 4 different values, We have f prime of x times g of x. That's going to be these two. So I'm just going to copy those down and put them in parentheses. So 4x cubed minus 6x squared. That's our f prime of x. That's this one. Times g of x. That's this one here in green. So that is 5x squared plus 4x minus 6. And then we have our addition symbol. Then we have f of x and g prime of x. So those are the outside ones. So that's going to be an x to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 4 times 10x plus 4. When I went through and did example 1a, I multiplied all of this out and then combined like terms. I did mention in that video that we are going to stop here. If you'd like to continue and multiply those out and combine your like terms, that's fine. But for your final answer on the test, final answer on any quiz that I might give you, you can leave it in this form. You don't need to multiply that out. I'm going to assume that you know how to multiply out parentheses and then combine like terms. I'm not testing that. That's not what this chapter, not what this section is about. What this section is about is, do you know how to use the product rule? So once we get it to this point, then you can stop. We've taken the derivative using the product rule. There usually is more simplification that we would do, but we're not going to do that on this particular problem.